Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with Dawna. I'm so excited to have you here this week because I have a really special, phenomenal guest on today. And I just can't wait to talk with him and get him on to share all of his incredible information. So, first, I just want to say hello, and I hope that you all have had a wonderful week since last week, and wondering if you have done any of the challenges that I have put out there about drinking more water, trying to eat a little bit more fruits and vegetables, looking yourself in the eye, telling yourself that you love you, and truly loving and accepting yourself more, because that is the key to really having a magical, wonderful life, is learning to love and accept ourselves more. So without going on to more, because I really want to get Jim on to share the amazing things that he has. Jim Onek is the founder and CEO of Epic Lasers. He founded it in 2007, and he spun the Epic Laser portion off in 2018, building on 20 years of independent research and development in phototherapy. So he is just an intelligent, amazing being. I was so impressed with him when I got to meet him in person. He holds a BSBA from the University of Phoenix and an AAS in Electronic Engineering Technology from the University of Hartford, and has also completed the Executive Marketing Management program at the Columbia Business School and IMD's program for Executive Development in Lausanne, Switzerland. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Jim. He has over 35 years of experience working in technology-based companies, with 20 years of experience in product management, international sales, and executive marketing management. Onek has been involved in senior management positions of startup and mid-sized high-tech companies since 1992, and has an extensive knowledge of lasers, optics, and microelectronics. He is a fellow of the American Society of Laser Medicine and Surgery, a member of the International Society of Optics and Photonics, and of the International Microelectronic Packaging Association. Wow. Plus, I know Jim sings, is in a choir, is in a band, I believe plays the guitar. So without further ado, Jim, would you please join us?
Well, hello there. I'm talking to you from inside a cell today with my good friend, the mitochondria, behind me. So thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And you made your way through all those very long words. So good job.
Thank you. I don't usually say those words. So.
Yeah. Most people don't. Yeah.
So, Jim, tell us about yourself. Tell us about Epic Lasers and how you got started with this.
Well, it's a little bit about myself. I've kind of been a nerdy technology guy from the time I was a young man. And, even when I was in fourth grade, I was fixing transistor radios for friends. And so I've kind of been involved with electronics and engineering for many, many years. I came into the laser world really starting with my work in ophthalmology. And so I worked for a company in the field service area, and we worked on these ophthalmic lasers they're called YAG lasers. So I really became knowledgeable in that role to start learning about laser technology and what it could do within the body. And then roughly 20 years ago, myself, a good friend of mine in Akron, and somebody whom you met also, Tosa Kelly, we're all working for this company, and it was a therapeutic laser company. And for whatever the reason, one day we went to the office and the doors were closed, and the people that ran it just didn't really have the resource behind it. But
Wow.
it just was quite the eye opener experience.
Mhm.
And but from that, I really started to learn and become interested in this whole concept of using light to help people and to provide therapy. And so I never gave up. I just kind of kept on the path. And even though I got other jobs, I still worked on this, hoping someday I could make a laser or a light device that would help people's wounds heal or help people's chronic pain issues. And so I really started the hard way. I went through all these research articles. This is the really boring part, and read them all and tried to figure out why some lasers worked and some didn't, and what were the good things about them and what were the bad things about them. And what I figured out is a lot of people that are involved in this weren't just paying attention to the physics of it. So my background is in engineering, as you saw, and so I really took the approach of this whole idea of the physics of how the light interacts with the body based on the knowledge I had from the ophthalmology days. And I started to conceive this new type of laser, class 4 laser system, higher power, larger diameter, to try to reduce the time that it takes to treat and to be more effective. And that was the beginning of the research. And so I think I mentioned to you maybe there, Tosa, that I began with experimenting on a can of Spam. We all laugh and we say, well, don't you eat that for lunch? Well, no, not anymore, especially not after that experience. But it really mimics the human model, believe it or not. It was just a scary in of itself. But I was able to use Spam to see how the laser was absorbed into this Spam. And I went from there and did cellular level research with the University of Toledo, and was instrumental in helping get an article published about how the 980 wavelength that I had selected actually worked on cells. And
Wow.
then from there, actually did beginning with clinical trials with horses. And Kelly will tell you that she was at the Olympics treating horses with a version of the laser quite a number
Wow.
of years ago. So really started with the animal model and then progressed to the human model. And this is now the 4th generation. The very first person to get a higher power laser therapy through the FDA was myself. And took a lot of effort. And but now this is a 4th generation product that I'm involved with. And I've learned so much over the years. I also do therapy. So I've been treating people with the lasers in its various forms for a long time, a couple of decades now. And I've treated all sorts of conditions all over the world. I've traveled to treat people. So it's been a really incredible experience. But that's really the background and genesis of it. It's never giving up. And this year, after a very long journey, I received my U.S. patent on the technology, which
Wow.
was really quite exciting.
That
Uh,
is.
Most people would have given up, but I'm persistent. So, and yeah, so that was the exciting news for the year here. And so really, it just ties in with everything Epic's doing, and our goal with the company is to try to bring more light healing products to people, to their homes. There's no reason why everybody can't have access to this technology. It's not something that's made in a pharmaceutical lab with some secret recipe. It's really designed to help heal people and let them take control of their pain. And that's really the intent of the company and the purpose of the technology. Heal with light.
So explain how this works for the people that have not been able to be fortunate enough to experience it or witness it. Explain how the laser actually does heal and go to that mitochondrial level, like that's behind you.
Yeah.
For
Yes.
the person that doesn't understand anything about this, sorry,
Right.
dog barked at that. She wants to know.
She wants to know. Inquiring
Yeah.
minds want to know. So for the laser and how it works, it really helps the body's own healing mechanism. And so you breathe in air, you eat food, and this all goes into your body, and your mitochondria, that little thing that's behind me there, and you see with the laser beams hitting it, that converts that energy that's being taken in to an energy that produces a compound called adenosine triphosphate, because it's difficult to say, even for me. It's called ATP. It's an easier acronym for it. So this energy that comes in produces ATP, and that ATP is prevalent in all human life, all life on Earth. And it's how your body works and heals itself naturally through this use of this compound. And so it turns out that not just the oxygen in the air you breathe and the food you eat, but light also excites the mitochondria if it's of certain wavelengths. And so the wavelength of the light products, the laser, for example, stimulates a chromophore. It's a receptor within the mitochondria. And when the photon of light hits it, it creates more energy, and thus it produces more ATP. And so what's happening is instead of the really slow process, the light accelerates the process. It makes it go faster. And so it activates your body's own healing mechanism with this ATP. So rather than take a drug, when you take a pill, what happens? It's a mixture of chemicals, compounds, goes down your throat and into your tummy, and breaks apart in some sort of time release formulation. A lot of it just gets tossed away, and lots of it gets into your bloodstream, has to go through your bloodstream. Sometimes it can affect the blood-brain barrier and travel through that. But it's masking the symptom. It's not really helping to heal the problem. The light actually helps heal the problem. That's the beauty of it. And it does it naturally by stimulating the body's own natural healing mechanisms. So quite a bit different philosophy. We don't just hide the pain, we actually work at it. And that's not to say it can fix everything, because it can't. So I don't want to leave the listeners with that impression, but it sure can help many, many people, as it has with chronic pain and acute pain conditions. And it can help them regain their spirit because they're feeling better. But it works at the cellular level. It doesn't have to travel through your digestive system and be spread all out. It works at the site of the pain, and it works to help relieve the pain through the photonic, what they call photobiomodulation, and through the thermal heat that's generated from the warmth of the device. Not super hot, but it's a gentle warmth, as you know, because I think you've experienced the treatments.
Yes, I did. It was so amazing to watch and to get to witness. And I just love this because I'm passionate about trying to find things that will help people suffer less. And this is a beautiful tool to do that, to help people suffer less. Because like you said, pharmaceuticals, they mask the symptoms. They don't heal the problem. They don't resolve the underlying problem. And yeah, they go through the digestive system, they go through the liver, they go through the bloodstream, and they can cause additional problems. In fact, a lot of people see that they come up with different problems by taking the pharmaceuticals. There's an average, I believe, of like 70 side effects per pharmaceutical pill. Which is crazy, right? When you have something like this that is all natural, it's light, and it's amazing to me that you came up with this, and the research that you've been able to do, and to get to this point to help so many people. And it really excites me, because I just think of the potential, and like you said, people can get a home unit. They can have access to it without having to go someplace else if they want. They can go get a treatment in an office setting. But so why don't you explain the difference between a laser that they would come see somebody certified to use it, and why don't you explain a little bit about the laser and then the home unit and how those differ?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question, because we do provide a couple of products. One is an office-based device, and that office-based device is meant for people that become certified. It's a regulation, a federal regulation. You have to be certified to use it. And so that whatever company sells the laser, they're allowed to provide the certification. So I have the training to provide the certification to those that are, interested in it. And so this is a device that if you wanted to become a therapist, or you wanted to work with a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, you could become a therapist and actually go in and bring this unit in and treat. And it's a beam. There's a aiming beam. It's which is visible red, and then you have the infrared light behind it, and it's a little bit over 3 centimeters in diameter. And it's all about the power. It's called optical power density. So how concentrated is that power across the surface area? And so to get deep into the body, you need a certain amount of optical power density. And so the machine has settings on it. You can set it, and as you saw, you'd set the machine for maybe 10 watts to be treating somebody with a chronic back problem. And so you set the machine up, and you can treat in just a few minutes with that type of power density. Unfortunately, though, with that type of professional unit, the cost of providing that is maybe a bit more than people could spend on average at home. So taking that same light science, knowing the power density, which was, evaluated and developed through the cellular level work and cadaveric work that was done, and even the spam work that was done, taking all that into account, coming up with these protocols, knowing what the different power densities are. I took the same wavelength of light, and the technology to do this was not available 5 years ago. It's only been available in the past couple of years. Wow. And they're called single wavelength light emitters. And I know about them because of the work I do in the microelectronics field. And so I always tell people it's a matter of math. It's taking these 100 individual light emitters, knowing what their power output is, knowing what angle the light comes out at from, and then making sure that the power density across that surface of the home device is sufficient enough to penetrate into the body. And so it seems complicated mathematically, I suppose it is, but it's very controllable. And so it enabled us to actually create this device and provide this 980 wavelength specifically for a home-based unit that activates the cells the same way as the more expensive laser. It is lower in power. And because it's low in power, it means you treat for longer periods of time. So instead of a 10-minute treatment, you're treating for 30 minutes. And you would treat more often with this device than you would with the laser therapy you would get at the professional office. So, but they work the same way within the body. They activate the cells the same way. They're the same wavelength. There's still the formulation of the getting to a proper power density that's clinically significant, and you can put it all over your body. You can put it on your elbows and your wrists and your knees and your ankles and your back and your shoulders and your neck. So all of these places are a place where you can use this home device. So kind of the original business model was the doctor or the professional therapist would buy the laser, the bigger unit, and as they treat their patients, they would offer them the opportunity to buy a home device to use in between laser treatments. Because sometimes with people's schedules, you can't say, be here at 12 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right. Sometimes their schedules, especially when you're dealing with professional people or working people, you can't guarantee that. So then they'd have something they could take home and they could use them at home. But the idea, well, that was kind of the original concept. It really took off because people said, well, I just want to get one for the home. So now you can buy it on our website. You can buy it on Amazon. There's lots of opportunities you could buy it through, depending where you are located. There's doctors that sell them. There's people that sell them online up in Canada, as an example. So they're starting to be distributed all over, as far away as South Korea, Japan, wow. Ecuador.
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's really becoming an accepted product, which is nice. I was surprised. how many we've sold in just the first year. It's hundreds of them. And, it's nice. I get emails back from patients that use them, and they say, this really has helped me. It's the first thing that's helped me in a long time. And I don't have to take this drug anymore. I'm just using this. And so they get very excited and enthusiastic about it. And they actually get better. And then they say, I will follow up with patients that maybe bought it a year ago. And they say, well, I'm not really using it right now because I don't need to use it. And that's fantastic. And that means it's there. They can pull it out of the drawer when they need it. If you travel, you can throw one in your suitcase and travel with it. So the home use device definitely has its place.
That is awesome. And what is that called again? The home unit?
It's called an infrahelios.
Okay.
So infra meaning infrared. So invisible red, infrared. And Helios, of course, is a god, a sun god.
Okay.
So
yes.
Infra sun god. So infrahelios is the genesis of the name. Who a friend of mine in Romania came up with that particular name. He thought it was a cool name, and I agreed. So
that is a cool name, yes, and with the meaning behind it, that's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that example of your client that they were able to go off their pharmaceuticals and they were able to get true relief for what they were suffering from and the pain. And so Jim, why don't you, before we continue, why don't you tell people how they can find you? What's your website? And, how can they reach out to get more information on the lasers, on getting training to do the laser, on buying a commercial laser, on buying a home unit? Why don't you explain that?
Sure. They can go to www.epoch, EPOCHLASERS.com. So Epoch with an O, lasers with an S.com. And there's lots of information on that website. You can buy something off the website, and I can share a little secret with you. If you type in the discount code, the letters CLE, then that will give you a discount off the products that are available for sale on the website. And it's very simple to buy. If you want to shop from Amazon, you can go right to the Amazon website, or you can just buy them directly from us. Either way is fine. But yeah, you can use the discount code, and there's lots of information. If you want more, a lot of people contact me through the website. You can fill out a contact form. It comes to me. It comes to the guy, the inventor. And a lot of times they'll want to talk about their particular medical situation. They don't want to put it in writing. They want to know more information. And so they'll send me an email saying, can I call you? Can I talk to you? And I'm happy to have those conversations. I just had quite a lengthy one last night with a gentleman who was looking to try to solve something specific with the device. So always happy to do that, but they can contact me personally right through that website, no problem. But it's epochlasers.com. So people will ask, just a little side story, how did we name the company? And you can thank Kelly for that, because Epoch, EPOCH, means a point in time. So you can have an epic burger, but it could have been at an epic time in your life. So epic with an O means a point in time. And so Kelly thought it was just finally the time for the laser, that it was epic, that we were finally actually going to bring this to market. And so that's how the name, the genesis of the name, but it's turned out to be a great name. So
yes, it is. It is a great name. And yes, Kelly is brilliant. And I just feel so honored to have gotten to know both of you in Ecuador and at Tosa Blue Mountain, and just able to make that connection and learn more about all the amazing things that you both do. And then share that whole experience of the ceremonies and everything else while we were down there for the equinox and the WWA Global. It was phenomenal. And why don't you, 2 years ago, you were in Tosa Blue Mountain. If I'm telling this story correct, I'll hand it over to you. But you had a vision, right?
Yes, I did. Yes. I
And
really, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, and what was that vision?
So, yeah, 2 years ago on my first visit to Tosa, what started out as just an idea, I learned while I was there about the indigenous people, how hard they work. They're farmers. I watched some of the laborers walk past me with 50-pound bags of concrete on their shoulders. And I thought, that's, I'd be hard pressed to do that all day. and that's just their nature. But because of that, they get repetitive stress injuries, they get sore shoulders and backs and those kinds of issues, especially as they get to creep into their late 40s and 50s. That hard labor would, certainly challenge anybody. So I had this idea just in probably over coffee, Tulsa with Shri and Kira, just about it would be great to have a clinic where you could bring the highest technology in healing to a people that had no access to really good health care, and how it could help them. Because they're not going to, the indigenous aren't going to go to a CVS and load up on a drug and take it, 4 times a day. That's just not going to happen.
Mm.
And so I really thought when I was there, the idea was, hey, this is a vision. The light bulb went on and said, these people would really benefit from the laser. And sometimes you never know where the seed you plant goes. You never know what it's going to turn out to be. And so what it turned out to be 2 years later just was one of those things in life where you just blows you away. You say, holy mackerels, I can't believe that this happened. And so through such hard work with Shri and Kira and some other benefactors that stepped up to the plate to say this idea of a clinic is a great idea. Lo and behold, a whole building was built. People were coming on board to help run it and manage the clinic. And I didn't have an expectation even 6 months ago that when I went to Tosa here a couple of weeks ago, that I would see a whole building outfitted like a clinic with people working there, and there'd be any kind of grand opening that far exceeded my expectations. It really was an incredible event in my life. And like I said, it just, was an idea that turned into a mission, that turned into a passion and persistence. As you see, by going so long for a patent, I don't give up easily. And so getting the equipment in there and getting people trained on how to use it turned out to be great. And so the grand opening ceremony that I encountered was very moving. And the next couple of days, with the people walking down from the village, they walked literally miles to come get a treatment. And I know we probably treated 30 to 50 people, because there were a couple of us doing the treatments, we kind of lost count. There were just so many people over the first few days. And so it was really incredible to see and see the smiles on their faces. Admittedly, we don't speak Spanish. And so Kelly put together this great cheat sheet of things to ask. Dr. Lorena helped as well, to ask people to say, okay, try to know where the pain is that you're treating and know if there's underlying conditions. And you could actually see them walk out with smiles on their faces. So I did notice that the indigenous people respond incredibly well to the laser treatments. So I don't know if I mentioned to you that I have two children that are both scientists. They're both PhD microbiologists, and one speaks fluent Spanish, is quite familiar with all the different cultures. The other one also speaks some Spanish as well. And so I asked them, why do they think the response is so fast? And they had a very interesting kind of non-scientific answer, which surprised me. They just said that the indigenous have no bias that it won't work.
Right.
Where here in the US, we're bombarded with news and TV telling us you have to have this drug to get better. Right. You have to have this, you have to have this FDA thing. You have to have this doctor from this special clinic treat you or you're not going to get better. And we have
Right.
this belief system that's so ingrained, it actually has a negative impact on our health. But, with the folks in Ecuador, the indigenous people, they don't think that. They think, I'm going to get this light, I'm going to receive the light, and I'm going to get better from the light. And they not only are getting better physically from the cells being stimulated, but there's no mental block to prevent them accepting that as well. And those two together make a very powerful, treatment regimen. And so that was my kid's scientific explanation, which wasn't really scientific, but was interesting that they brought it up. There's something called a reverse placebo effect. I think everybody knows, 33 or 35% of the people that take the sugar pill get better. Well, you can have that same in reverse. 35% of the people that are taking the drug to help them get better won't, because they have a bias, a mental block against it. Even though it works chemically the same, they have a mental block, and that actually can affect the outcome on the negative side. So think of what we've been bombarded with in the past year. The indigenous don't have that. And so they respond very, very quickly and well to the treatments. And, it's not just a perception, because you can see the range of motion. That's the thing with the laser. You can do a pretty immediate test. Somebody comes in and can't move their shoulder, and they can walk on and move their shoulder. You've helped. It's not just a brain thing. It's a physical thing as well.
Right. But our bodies are more than just physical, they're emotional and mental and spiritual as well. And so that makes complete sense that if somebody is not believing in something, that it probably is not going to work. I mean, sometimes it does, but typically if somebody's blocking that being receptive to it, then yeah. And I've seen that in what I do. And I'm sure you've seen that before. And yeah, we've been bombarded with all this fear and lots of misinformation is out there, especially on the internet. There's so much, promises, take this pill, it's gonna, you're going to drop 30 pounds in 2 weeks or whatever, and most people know that that's probably not going to happen. It may have happened for one person. And so, they say, oh, it's going to happen. But it doesn't. So I think that especially in the US, we tend to be a little bit more skeptical about things, just because there have been so many fake things out there, so many empty promises and that sort of thing of products that don't really work. But you have all this science behind you, as well as then actually seeing the results of using this laser on people, like with the indigenous people. And I was fortunate enough to be there just as an observer at the grand opening and see all these indigenous people coming from all over and getting, having those smiles when they walked out of there that they didn't have when they came in. And yeah, I don't speak Spanish either, but you can't fake that. And that's just it. I think because they aren't bombarded with all the internet and the promises of, this pill being the next greatest thing and it's going to fix all your problems and so on and so forth, that we are in the US, especially other countries as well, but especially in the US, they're kind of, because they're not on the internet, so they're not, they're working the fields, they're living life, and they're not caught up in all of that kind of like you said, it's they're much more open because they don't have all these filters that they've been given to go through to see if something is worthwhile or not.
Right.
Yeah, it was incredible. For me, as an observer to watch the transformation in people and watch, this clinic come to life. And yeah, I just thought it was such an incredible dream and desire, and what a compassionate heart that you have to want to put something like that together for people, indigenous people, and the laser, just how it's helping and how it's going to help so many more people by educating people and getting the word out that this is even available. Before I met you, I didn't even know that this was available. So I really want to get the word out to as many people as possible, because for me, it totally aligns with, I want to help people, but naturally improve the quality of their life. And sometimes making simple dietary changes can do that. But when you have an injury, food doesn't necessarily address that injury, whereas light and this laser does and can definitely help. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'd like to always explain it this way. I call it an upward spiral versus a downward spiral. So when you experience pain, then you tend to not be as active. You sit on the couch, you watch the extra TV show, and but you still eat the same amount of food for dinner. You don't change your diet, and then you slow down. You gain weight, and that puts lots more pressure on the joints and creates the inflammation of itself if you're not eating, a proper diet. And so you have this downward spiral, and then you may be on top of that taking a medication that kind of clouds your judgment. And that's a downward spiral. And so you take a person that's active and suddenly they become inactive and they have weight problems. And then maybe they get depressed. They say, just, what am I, a slug just sitting here? So over the years, I've watched so many people that have been in that condition that finally come in, they want to try something new. I treat them with a laser, and maybe after 3 treatments, they start to feel better. They say, you know what? I didn't realize I didn't have any pain last night. And by the way, I didn't have to take that stupid prescription that I had. And then they say, I feel better. I'm going to walk the dog down the street today. And they walk the dog down the street, and then they come back and they say, oh, that outdoors felt good. Maybe I should start paying attention to my diet. It's almost like it flips a switch inside them. It creates this upward spiral. And I've watched people that have been diabetic, overweight, chronic back pain, completely turn their lives around, get off their medications for diabetes, become active, work out, get into bike riding, lose weight, and get back to work and be full of energy, and far beyond where they had expected to be. So I like that switch. Sometimes that little incentive just flips it enough and they go into that upward spiral. That's why we say, relieve the pain, ignite your spirit, because when you do that, your spirit improves. I went for a walk today. You feel good about yourself. And then you start to pay more attention to your own health, and that just lifts your spirit. And so that on the spiritual side of things, this light has that effect on people, because it doesn't cloud during the healing process. It actually helps, it ignites, it activates, and that activates, I think, people's minds. And so that's really that upward spiral is, I've just watched so many people as a therapist over the years totally turn and then watch them improve their lives. And it's okay if they don't need to come see me again because they're healthy again. I'm a happy camper. And but sometimes they'll come in for a tune-up, but I'm always amazed a couple of years out how healthy they are and how healthy they look and how they're smiling and happy. And I say, boy, compared to where I saw them when they started, it's a great change.
I just love that. That is just incredible. That's amazing. And yeah, I'm sure that must feel amazing to see how you were able to help somebody flip that switch and change the direction of their spiral. Because I do believe that we're either spiraling up or we're spiraling down. We're not just staying still. You don't stay still. Tony Robbins is a great one at talking about this, that if you're not moving forward, you're not staying still, you're moving backwards. You just don't realize it. Right. And we're always moving in one direction or the other. We're either spiraling up or spiraling down. And that's why it's so important to check in with yourself, check in with mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually on a regular basis to make sure that you are progressing and that you're where you want to be. And if you're not, what do you need to do to get there? Because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get off course. It's easy to, let something go for a while. And then it's a lot more to deal with than it was originally, because you ignored it for a while or whatever. But I love that you are providing something that helps on more level than just a physical, and most things do, we just don't realize it. So thank you for sharing that, because that's a beautiful example of how people can change their lives with just a simple change.
Yeah.
Just doing one simple thing can make a huge impact on the whole life. And start that spiral up. So start your spiral up, people. Change one thing that's going to make your life better. Look into these lasers, reach out to Jim, talk to him, look at this product, because I bought one for the home, and I used it after a really intense workout where my abs hurt when I would laugh or cough or anything, because it was really intense ab. So I put it right on my stomach for 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to simulate this, to reduce this inflammation that is self-imposed. I know, but it helped. It was like, yay. Help me recover even faster. So that's good.
That's good. That's really great to hear. And the thing about being a therapist with this technology is it's a very hands-on, and you get a rapport with the person you're treating.
Mm-hmm.
Today's healthcare is so impersonal,
right?
That they want you in and out of that office fast. You see 6 people, you get a prescription, and you're gone, and you've maybe spent 3 minutes with your doctor. And it's so it's not very hands-on, it's not personal. But when you're a therapist, you develop this rapport with the patient. You see them expand, you see them light up, you see them improve. And so part of the therapy is not just the hands-on. I believe it's also part of the discussion and the feeling that you have as a therapist that you're helping, and the feeling that the patient has that says, I'm being helped, and this person's actually taking the time to talk with me while they're doing this, and they're asking questions, and they're interested in my help, and that gets them thinking as well. So if you're the kind of person out there that likes that type of work, you should really consider being a laser therapist, because you can actually see the result, you can help people, and you can establish rapport with your clients. And most of your listeners probably offer other services as well, so there's a great tie-in. And so it's, from a therapy standpoint, it's great. It's really incredible. I've like I said, I've traveled all over the world and met so many people, and just watched them be helped. It's just been a great experience. It's and whether it's been in Mexico or Puerto Rico, I think almost every state here across the U.S., Europe, it's been a great opportunity to offer this. So if you're interested in a therapist, reach out by all means.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting trained, and I'm super excited to be able to bring this to as another tool to help people with what I do, the energy work and so on. Sorry, I don't know what my dog is barking at. Sorry about that. She's just saying hi, I guess. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get certified in this and to learn more about it, because it was really cool how getting some hands-on training when we were in Ecuador, and I want you to talk about that experience in just a moment here. But getting that hands-on, actually seeing people, seeing their that tense area that is in pain actually relax. That was really powerful to me to watch that as I was taking the wand around, and you could actually feel that tension just kind of melt away because it was getting relief. And I think you touched on something very important. When people feel like they are being seen and heard and valued and validated, That is so powerful. We don't get enough of that these days, especially this last year with COVID, where people have had to be isolated and they're not getting seen and validated and heard. And that is so powerful. And so that's a great addition. Not only are you treating them, but their body, but you're also giving them a beautiful gift by taking the time to talk to them and hear what's going on with them to help them better.
Yeah, it's you mentioned about the experience of we talked about the clinic and then the experience of teaching people. The other thing I didn't expect from the clinic was the response of the people who suddenly, like yourself, say, "I want to be a therapist." I didn't plan on. I didn't even think about that when I was thinking about the clinic, that people would want to actually go to Ecuador for several weeks out of the year and donate their time and work in the clinic. How cool is that?
Yes.
And so to train people there and see their reaction, and people like yourself who felt what it's like to actually apply the laser and see how it relaxed, people's muscles, and to see the enthusiasm. I thought, who's going to want to come see my nerdy workshop and learn about technology and light and biology? That's probably not going to be high in everybody's list. The response that I had from all of you, that you were such an incredible group of people, the response that I had blew me away. I just couldn't believe it. I was just in awe of all of you that said, "Hey, we want to help. We like this. We think this is great technology, train us." And suddenly we have a line outside of the clinic of people that want hands-on training, and how can I become a therapist, and how can I get a laser, and how can I help, and can I actually move to Tosa for a few months and help in the clinic down there. That's amazing to me. It's just it shows what an incredible group of people you all were, and the feeling they had was just amazing, that you all want to help, and you understood the technology almost immediately, that you all paid attention, and that you wanted the extra training. Many of you attended the workshop, and that's kind of support. I think the workshop was very helpful.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that really helped people understand it. And then the few of you that were in the studio audience there got a chance to do the hands-on, and then everybody said, "Oh, this is pretty cool," because you got a chance to apply it and to be a patient for it,
Right.
to actually
Both.
feel what it was like to be both.
Yes.
But I never anticipated that you'd all come to the clinic and say, "We want to learn more. Give us some training now. We're here. Please train us."
Yes, it's phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And I was on the phone with Sri and Kira earlier, and they were like, "So when are you going to get trained, and when are you going to come spend some time down here at the clinic volunteering your time?" I'm like, "I know, I'm progressing with Jim. I'm working on it." And so they're excited because they see how much your invention and this technology is going to benefit the local indigenous people and many other people around the world. It's not just there. That just happened to be where this clinic is that you envision, and where I had the pleasure of meeting you. Shereen and Kara had this incredible event with the equinox, the spring equinox, where we had incredible ceremonies with the Canary people, and then the WWA Global, which you got to be a part of in presenting your laser and educating us on the light therapy and everything. So I would like you to take a few minutes and just tell us, we have about 10 minutes left. Just tell us how your experience was, because I found it really fascinating that here an engineer, and most engineers I have met or been around are very black and white, not open to spirituality, not open to metaphysical things at all. And but you are so multi-talented, and you seem so open to that. Besides being the engineer, scientist, inventor, CEO, all of the things that you are, you also sing, you're in a choir, you've produced music, you have a band. What am I leaving out? So you're unique, well-rounded person, which is not typical for an engineer. So at least not in my experience. So tell me about how did you get to this point of seeking out more spirituality and being more open to that? Have you always been, or is this fairly new?
Well, yeah, I guess I could say that the laser flipped a switch in me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've always, early on in life, I participated in 4-H and Grange, something called Grange, kind of a rural organization. So I learned growing up the idea of service. I was an EMT, emergency medical technician, that I was trained for, working on an ambulance and a volunteer fireman in my early youth. And so that idea of service and helping people has kind of always been a part of me. But I think the laser flipped the switch for me, seeing how it helped people, and it kind of started to open my eyes to this whole concept and idea. And that the choir aspect I got into, that's probably been now 15 or more years ago. I needed something to balance against the country band. So I thought I should sing in the choir as a to make up for the things I was doing in the country band. And to balance,
Yeah, that's an engineer thing for sure.
Yeah, exactly. You need the inflow, the outflow, the positive, negative.
Right,
Yeah. But for the ceremony, the Indian ceremony, I'll never forget that. I think it was Jerry's comment who said, "Oh, you go to this ceremony, you're going to forget about science." It's just cracked me up at the time, and boy, was she right.
Yes.
I think I wonder now I'm going to have to experiment with San Padre and the laser together to see what happens. But yeah, it was really a great ceremony. One of the things I experienced was the Kanyari people, how you could actually see on their faces the love they had for their children and for each other and for their spouses. You could see it on their face. That was really moving. It was very, very visible. And I also saw some things that cross all cultural boundaries, like some of the younger Kanyari kids had phones and they were texting away. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter what culture, but you have a teenager and they're going to do these things. So that made me chuckle a little bit. But I did have this experience, which I like to share, which was they had the circle of fire, the fire and then the circle around it. And in front of me for a large part of the evening was this big drum and a staff that was right in front of me. And at one point, I think my eyes closed. I'm pretty sure it was just a second, maybe more. But when I opened my eyes, that drum and staff had moved about 20 degrees to my left. And I didn't think of it scientifically. My first reaction was to say, "Oh my God, the earth moved in a circle. How the hell did that happen?" And that is where I lost all science, because I couldn't figure it out. For whatever reason, being tired, I couldn't figure out how that happened. So that was my eye-opening experience, is that we all rotated, but the drum, I didn't even consider that the drum could have moved.
Right.
Because I didn't have my eyes closed, so I couldn't have figured that out. So but, that was my my one big eye opener.
That's incredible.
But the fact that we participated in that, what at times is an extraordinarily intimate ceremony. With the Kanyari, who the translators said, "Oh, this is too personal to even translate." So in that kind of an intimate ceremony that hadn't been performed in 2,500 years.
Right.
And then there was a little bit of satisfying science, but I don't know how, is that they managed to align the smoke from the fire with the rising sun so that they were perfectly in line on the equinox. So good that they could do that, because I couldn't try to do that in my backyard if I tried. I have no idea how they did that. So again, I have to no scientific explanation. So a lot of the things that happened up there, I have no reasonable scientific explanation. So the serious side is, yeah, I forgot all about science and I had to just completely toss it aside. And in a secondary walk up that mountain, it was to realize, don't worry all the time about asking why.
Right.
And as an engineer, you are asking, why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why does
Right.
this? That's why? It's like a little kid, just, outgrow it. But to not ask why, just accept that it is, and then go with it and see where it leads. And so I think kind of relating this back to the clinical Linda is saying, I'm not going to ask why all this manifested and how it all manifested. I'm going to accept that it has, and that it's moving forward, and that this is only the beginning. Maybe there'll be more clinical Lindas in other indigenous places around the planet. And I'm not going to worry about the, what the why. I'm just going to go with it as it grows and expands and people become involved. I'm grateful and honored that it's unfolding and manifesting this way. So.
Beautiful. Now, I know you're going to be on a conference or seminar, a forum this weekend on Saturday, right?
Yes.
You're going to be presenting. So how can people find you on that to participate in that health and wellness forum?
So that, you can, I guess, try to Google Health and Wellness Forum with Elizabeth, right, is her name.
Yeah, Elizabeth Yarnell.
Yep.
She's a naturopath in Colorado, and her story is phenomenal. In fact, she will be on my show in 2 weeks. So stay tuned, make sure and come back in 2 weeks to listen to her. And next week, actually, you'll want to be on as well, as I'm going to have Joni Moore on, who is the founder and owner of Higher Love, which is a medical marijuana CBD business and that she has been doing now. And so she has more to share. But Jim, I believe Elizabeth said it's www.healthandwellnessforum.com, I think is where you can go on to sign up.
Right. It's actually, it's holistic health and wellness. Yeah. So HOLISTIC, holistic health and wellnessforum.com.
Perfect.
Holistic health and wellnessforum.com is there. Or you can, if somebody wants to send me an email or go to the website and send an email, I can send them the link as well. But if they go to that, and there I'll give a much more detailed presentation, maybe about the science of it, and more about the home use device, with pictures of it being used and how it's applied. So I'll be giving a more detailed description of it as part of the 35-minute presentation. So if you're at all interested, I would highly recommend. It looks like it's going to be a very, very good forum. And,
yes,
very, very interesting. She's an incredible lady.
She is,
and amazing what she's uncovered in her quest as well.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. You definitely want to check that out because it's going to be phenomenal. And then you'll get to hear more from Jim and get to understand more about this phenomenal invention laser that he has put together and brought to the world, which is fantastic. So I can't thank you enough, Jim, for being on today. It was amazing as usual, as are you. And I'm so excited to learn more, to continue my training and to become a therapist with the laser and help people and continue your vision and mission throughout the world. Because who knows where it'll go, right?
That's right. You don't know where the seed you plant, to go back to the beginning, where the seed you plant, where it's going to grow and how it's going to grow and how big the tree will get. So
right. Well, thank you. We are out of time. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Jim.
Welcome.
And I hope everybody has just a phenomenal week, and join me again next week.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was my honor.
Thanks.